This is a Pokeball. It's a pretty simple design. It's a ball with a single button, it's red and white, and it has a bit of black. As far as design goes, it isn't really breaking new ground, and as far as design principles go, it isn't actually that great. So good design should have a balanced amount of unbalance. That's a weird way of saying that parts of the design should be eye-catching and important and other parts shouldn't be. How do you make something look important? The easy answer is to make it stand out. Make it a rarer element of the design. If I hold up my hand, extend all of my fingers except my index finger, your eyes are drawn to my index finger. As soon as I extend my index finger, it becomes the same as the rest and is now uninteresting. If I close my hand but leave my index finger out, it becomes important again. What the Pokeball has done is this. Now neither are important. The design isn't telling you what to look at. The Pokeball's even distribution of colour creates this issue. There is slightly more white than red because of the button, but that is pretty negligible. However, what redeems the design is the button. It acts as a point of interest and breaks the shape of the ball, and it's outlined by this black recessed element, highlighting this important part of the design. In Japanese folklore, if a tool is seen use for 100 years, it gains a soul and comes to life. So it's a cool concept to make the 100th Pokemon a Pokeball that has came to life. As a concept, I love that idea, but the execution wasn't the best. Rather than taking the Pokeball and adding to the design, giving it creature characteristics, they removed the good design element and gave it eyes. So let's have a go at redesigning Voltorb. Normally I start with a 2D silhouette, but it's a simple enough shape to jump straight into 3D, just using basic shapes to get an idea across. Here I was thinking the Pokeball was inhabited by a Pokemon almost like a hermit crab, or the Pokeball malfunctioned whilst the Pokemon was inside and fused somehow. I tried shattering the Pokeball to get across the idea that something went wrong with the ball, and I tried using out exposed wires as legs to convey emotion based on how the Pokemon stands. I took this a bit further. What if the Pokeball was open and it almost looked like a bug that could snap itself shut to protect itself? It's an interesting idea, but looking at these concepts, they all might be a little too far away from the original Pokemon. Voltorb looks pretty mean, so let's try and keep that aspect of the Pokemon. Tilting it forwards helps it look mean. It also helps the colour issue. From this angle, we're seeing a lot more red, creating a better ratio of colours than the 50-50 red and white, which the original Voltorb did do as well, but it's more of a quick patch to the colour issue than a proper solution, because we can see Voltorb from multiple angles in the game and the anime. It kind of falls apart. I spend a while trying to figure out the eyes, but decide that's something I will iron out with the shading, and I end up making the legs white, so now the overall design has a colour majority, which helps the red stand out a little more. Okay, I'm happy with the latest design. Now let's remodel this properly. This part can be a little boring as I'm not really doing any design here, just making sure the model is clean and animatable. I spent a lot more time trying to get the eyes right. I think they end up looking okay, but maybe a little too playful. To try and sell the idea of the exposed wires, I split the ends of the cable, twist the wires and make them metallic. I do a little more jiggery pokery before rendering, and here's the final result. And I like it. It's still simple, it looks like Voltorb, and it keeps the original feel. The only thing is the wires look a bit like disco trousers, but with sparks coming off the exposed ends it helps sell what they are. But I am a 3D animator, and adding legs to this little guy means there are now new ways for it to move around. So I created 2 unique attacks to add to the move list, and I redesigned one of the existing ones. First up, I wanted to call it Vault Tackle, but Pikachu stole that name. I mean, come on, he's called Voltorb, he should get Vault Tackle. So I ended up calling it Static Charge instead. I like this because normally you would see a Pokemon charge up their electricity, then unleash it. But here, there is a charge of kinetic energy with the rapid rotation, and as soon as it touches the ground, it is unleashed, launching it at the enemy. And you get this nice contrast of motion where you go from being almost static to super speed, but you still have this wind up, so you have the anticipation before it happens. Next up is self-destruct. Admittedly, this is a pretty silly concept. It's quite Looney Tunes and maybe wouldn't fit into the Pokemon world, but I thought of it and then I couldn't not do it. Finally, we have Capture Drain. Okay, I'm pretty proud of this one. Voltorb is a Pokeball and there is no moves or abilities where this comes into play. And to me, this just makes sense. The idea is it would briefly capture the Pokemon, drain it of some of its health, and restore its own. And if this move was used on a wild Pokemon, it would then become easier to capture. And that is my redesign of Voltorb. This was a fun project to work on, but damn, it takes a lot of time. So I might do more depending on how well this does. So with that being said, see you later. Maybe.